Mockingbird and Liarbird by Reo Wakayami on AO3. Chapter 11. Tuesday comes quickly, and Hitoshi is wide awake for once, thumbing with excitement and anticipation because today is his first day in Class 1A. Izuku, when they pull up outside his apartment, is nearly vibrating in place, and he rushes over to fling himself onto the car, excitedly. "Morning, Izuku-kun," Hisashi says, Shota grunting tiredly in greeting, and Izuku chirps back a hello as Hisashi pulls into traffic and starts driving them towards UA. "Are you ready for today? Your first day?" Hisashi asks excitedly with a wide grin. "I spent most of my last night too excited to sleep," Izuku admits with a grin, and Hitoshi snorts, seeing the faint shadows under his eyes. "Down, problem child, the class won't disappear without you," Shota murmurs, and Izuku laughs softly, but nods. The drive is mostly silent with the radio playing. Izuku and Hitoshi mainly speak in sign language about how excited they are, and the gifts from their parents, while Shota naps and Hisashi hums along to the radio. UA appears before them, and rather than heading off to wander a bit before heading to 1C, they both follow Hisashi and Shota to the teacher's lounge. Izuku hands over the filled-out paperwork, and with an excited grin, and Shota sets it on his desk to file away later. "Oh, look at you two!" Midnight cries out excitedly, coming into the lounge to see them standing next to the two pros. "Excited?" she asks. "Yeah," Izuku says with a nod. "Well, have fun, you two, and work hard," she says with a wink before walking to her desk and starting to go through some paperwork there. Hisashi walks off to his own, and Shota motions for them to sit on one of the couches as they wait to pass the time before their homeroom starts. Eventually, the three of them leave and head for 1A. Hitoshi's heart feels like it's gonna burst from his chest. "Wait here," Shota instructs, and they both nod as he opens the door, calling the class to order, and then shuts it behind him. Hitoshi starts to feel Izuku's hand wrapped around his and squeeze. "Ready?" Izuku asks softly, eyes a little wide and nervous in excitement. "Definitely," Hitoshi agrees, squeezing back, and then Shota's opening the door, waving them in, and they let go before stepping into the room. "As I said, we have 2 new transfer students into 1A. Treat them as I expect you to treat them, and we won't have any problems," Shota states bluntly. "Go on, problem children. Introduce yourselves." Shota grumbles. "Hi, I'm Midoriya Izuku. It's nice to meet you all," Izuku says with a grin and a bow. "Shinso Hitoshi, and same," Hitoshi murmurs and bows as well. "All right, you two. Take the available spots." Shota draws out, and they both nod, taking their things and walking over to the Sioux seats near the back of the class. Unlike 1C, the seats are diagonal to each other, but within talking distance, so that's fine. Hitoshi takes the one further back, and Izuku takes the other. They ignore the glare sent their way from Bakugo. "Now that we have that taken care of and out of the way, it's time to talk about your internships that will be starting next week," Shota states, and the whole class sits up excitedly. He holds up a remote and presses a button, showing the class's names in order of internship offers. Surprisingly, in the middle of the pack are both Izuku and Hitoshi's name, with a few dozen offers each. "Sensei, Shinso-san and Midori-san already have offers, even though they've just joined us," Yaoyorozu asks with her hands raised. "They do. These were interested agencies that sent offers just in case they both were aiming for heroics departments, which they were, and transferred into the class in time. Winning silver and gold at the sports festival is no easy feat, and a lot of people take notice," Shota explains in a bored tone before reaching for a slack of files in his desk. "These files contain your offers. If you've got any, as well as a list of 40 agencies that offer up open spots for any UA students who didn't get any offers. I've added a few notes to each file about things to consider when choosing your agency. Don't just pick on ranking. Make sure it's a place where you feel you will learn the most in regards of what kind of hero you want to become. He explains, and the class nods. Ida-san, Yariozu-san, please help hand out these files. He orders, and the two stand up to do so, taking part of the stack each and passing out the files. Some, like Todoroki, are thick with offers, while others are flat, no doubt with only the pages for the 40 agencies to pull from. Hitoshi nods to Ida and thanks when he hands him his file. Izuku had already gotten his from Shota and cracks his open. There's the internship request form right on top. Behind it are the two sheets with 40 agencies listed, with their rankings and what they specialize in. Behind those are a few sheets with other of various agencies. You have until tomorrow afternoon to submit your choices. Shota continues to speak after everyone has gotten their files. This is just your first internship, so don't be discouraged if it doesn't fit or you don't like it. There will be more in the future. This is just a first look at what goes on behind the scenes as a hero. Midoriya-kun, Shinsa-kun, come to my office at the end of lunch and I'll catch you up on what the class has already been told. He orders. Yes, Isawa-sensei. They both say, and he turns towards his desk. Take the rest of homeroom to look over them, he instructs, slipping into his sleeping bag, and soon falling asleep as the class breaks out into excited whispers. Toshi, Izuku whispers, with wide eyes, and Hitoshi nods. Shinsa-kun, Midoriya-kun, you two made it, Uraraka explains softly, but excitedly turns to face them. Congratulations! Thank you, Izuku says with a grin. For a bit there, we thought it would take longer. You were so manly at the sports festivals, dude. Of course they'll let you in, Kirishima exclaims loudly before being shushed, and he ducks his head. Oh, you'll have to think of hero names, too, Uraraka explains suddenly. We did that yesterday, but you weren't here for it. Izuku grins at her words. We already figured that out, Hitoshi admits, and they look at him. Yeah, we've known what we wanted our hero names to be for a while, Izuku adds excitedly. Oh, what are they? Kaminari asks, coming over from his desk to lean on Uraraka's desk. Well, mine is the sound hero, Mockingbird, Izuku tells them. Oh, that's nice, Uraraka gushes. I can't wait to see your costume. What about you, Shinso-kun? The silent hero, Liarbird, Hitoshi explains. It's a play on words, Izuku explains energetically, pulling out the sheet of paper and writing it out. There's a bird called Liarbird that mimics sounds, and Hitoshi's getting a voice changer to hide his quirk better, so we changed out the word liar for the English word liar, because he usually won't be speaking in his own voice, so they won't recognize what his voice is. Plus, it hides what exactly his quirk is. Izuku finishes excitedly. Oh, that's pretty clever, Kaminari admits. Mine is the stun gun hero, Charge Bolt, he says with a grin. I'm Uravity, Uraraka says with a grin. I'm the sturdy hero, Red Riot, Kirishima adds excitedly. Oh, like the hero Crimson Riot? Izuku asked. Exactly! He's my favorite. And who I drew off most of my costume and name? Kirishima explains. Izuku nods. He's got a very strong morals and doesn't stand for injustice, no matter where it is. Izuku agrees. I've got a poster of him at home, Izuku admits. So, have you two looked at your offers yet? Uraraka asked. A bit, Hitoshi admits. I'm gonna wait until after speaking with Aizawa-sensei at lunch to really go through them and decide. Same. Izuku speaks up. That's smart. I'm going with Gunhead, Uraraka says with a determined look in her eyes and clenches her fist. After that fight with you, Shinzo-kun, I realize I've been relying too much on my quirk and I need to get stronger, you know? He teaches martial arts, which I think would be greatly help for me in the long run, she adds. Smart decision, Hitoshi says with a nod. It's why Izuku and I focus so much on physical training. Our quirks are pretty good, but they're not strong like other quirks, and we need to make sure we can protect ourselves. Hitoshi explains. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I used at the sports festival, I've only really just started practicing the last few months before the start of school, so I was lucky I was able to get it to work at all in the middle of the fight, Izuku admits, with a wiry chuckle. What was it you did, Miyu-kun? Kirishima asked suddenly. You did something, and I felt like my insides were trying to vibrate out of my body, and then the next thing I knew, you broke through my hardening, he asked with a wave of his hands for emphatism. Oh, right. Izuku flushes, remembering that fight. My quirk is called Voice Box. It's basically what it says on the tin. I can copy voices and sounds, but I have a range that's broader than normal people can produce. Your hardening quirk is really strong and very hard to channel sound through. But you have fault lines, I guess you would call them, where your body creases, it allows for movement while hardened. I use those features as an act to channel, to send sounds through your hardening into your body underneath. Sounds at a higher or low frequency can have physical effects on the body, nausea, disoriented, and even paralysis. If at the right frequency it's hit, I use a higher low frequency combo to basically vibrate your body. Not enough to hurt, but enough to distract and disorientate. I guess that your hardening might have a resonant frequency which would cause it to vibrate and crack some. Then sudden change in vibration frequency could cause your hardening to weaken along the cracks for a moment as you were distracted and disoriented, and I used it to break through your defenses. Izuku explains, in a rush. The others stare at him, and he flushes again. Yes, he always talks like that, Hitoshi says with a snort. Toshi? Izuku grumbles. I just really like quirk science and analyzing quirks, he explains. Wow, so that's how you beat Todoroki-kun, huh? Kaminari asks. Oh, yes. I used a low frequency sound outside the range of his hearing to induce nausea and disorientation. On top of him overusing his ice quirk and to the point of backlash, it allowed me to get the upper hand and force him out of the ring, Izuku explains, eyes flickering over the teen that doesn't seem to be paying any mind as far as he could tell. Honestly, if he'd used his fire as well as his ice, he probably would have won, Izuku admits. Really? Uraraka asks in surprise. Yes. His ice was predictable and easy to dodge, but his fire isn't predictable. Plus, the sudden influxation in temperature would have made it difficult for any sound to reach him because the air molecules would have been fluctuating between hot and cold. Sound waves travels through air and temperature can enhance or limit how well it travels. In the same way water underwater too, Izuku says with a grin. Also, it's hard to punch someone when they're on fire. He adds with a grin. Kaminari agrees with a grin, and then the bell rings for the end of homeroom. Shota stands up and slips out of his sleeping bag. I'll be in the teacher's lounge if you want to turn your decisions in later today, or have any questions. Treat this decision with the most importance it deserves. He reminds them, and the class calls out in agreement before he nods. Sends one last look to Izuku and Hitoshi, and then steps out of the room. Everybody say hey! Hisashi calls out, and the class greets the hero. The others returning to their seats as Hisashi starts to lay out their English assignments for that day. Izuku knocks on the door, and it opens a second later to look through to the teacher's lounge. Come in, problem children. Aizawa calls out, and they nod. They quickly eat in their lunch before rushing over here. Midnight is leaned against the man's desk, drinking from a cup of tea, and she waves eagerly. You boys look like you were coming to terms with the change, she jokes. Yeah, a bit, Hitoshi admits as he rubs at the back of his neck. Don't worry, soon no one will remember that you transferred in, she assures them. Let's go to my office and we'll look over your offers. Aizawa says, and they nod. Midnight following. Show informs me that you've already gotten your hero names picked out. Midnight starts off with once the door is closed, and they nod. Well then, let me hear them. I'll make sure that they're up to the stuff, and if they're good, I'll approve them, she admits. Okay. Izuku nods. Mine is the sound hero Mockingbird. Oh, short, sweet, and to the point. I like it, Midnight says with a grin. Approved. Mine's the silent hero, Liarbird, Hitoshi explains, writing it out to show her how it's spelled. A nice play on words, Hisashi, I like that. Midnight huffs out. I like it as well. Approved. Make sure to add them to your internship forms, she reminds them. Yes, ma'am. They both agree. All right, I'll leave you to it, Midnight says with a wave, and then slips from the room. They turn back to Aizawa, who is quickly writing something down on paper. Here, he says, grabbing 2 packets of paper and tossing them across the desk towards them. These cover everything we have covered in the fundamental heroics, as well as the laws and ethics portion of the heroic department, which differs somewhat from the regular laws and ethics. You should be on the same page with your other classmates. You won't need to do the assignments already done, except for 3 essays currently handed out. Though, you'll be given an extra day to make up for lost time. Study them closely, because a lot of what is in there will be on the midterms in a few weeks, and the final exam later. He orders, and they nod. As for your internship offers, he trails off for a moment. What exactly are you looking for in your internships? We discussed in some detail last week the various types of agencies and heroics: underground, twilight, limelight, rescue, intelligence, strength, and information gathering, and environmental. Your quirks and training are fare better in some areas than others, but don't limit yourself just because of your expectations. Aizawa sticks bluntly. Environmental? Hitoshi asks. Agencies who specialize in different types of terrain with heroes who have quirks suited for it. An example is the Wild Wild Pussycats. They specialize in mountain terrain as rescue heroes, whose quirks help them in their occupations. Aizawa explains. Oh. Hitoshi says, in interest. I was considering underground, mainly because of my quirk. Hitoshi explains. Though maybe I should consider something else, if only to see if I'd like it. He adds with a shrug. That's one way you can go. You don't have to declare a specialty until 2nd year, when we start focusing on specialized classes and training in that type. So many first years experiment with different areas to see what they feel fit, and their quirks better. Midoriya? He asks, looking at Izuku. I was thinking Twilight, having a foot in both underground and limelight heroics, Izuku said, sheeply. There's nothing wrong here, problem child, Aizawa reminds him, and Izuku nods. Keep in mind that this is just a learning experience, and you won't be doing any active heroics. At most, if you're involved in a case, you'll be helping evacuate civilians, or acting as lookout for your mentor. You've got my notes already in the file and what you might want to look for, so go over them carefully and turn it in your decision. If you have any questions, you can ask Hisashi or myself. Got it? He says, and they nod. Good. Go then. Lunch is almost over, and you've got fundamental heroics next. He says, and they quickly stand up, thanking him, and then rushing out of the room to head for 1A. I think I'm going to internship with Pops for my internship, Hitoshi admits, looking up from his list that afternoon to look at Izuku on the phone, the video calling showing he's also sorting through the offers. Yamada-san is Limelight, Izuku reminds him. I know, but I want to see how Limelight works, and if I want to go that route or not. Better to get it out of the way now if I decide I don't like it, rather than later down the line, you know? Hitoshi admits. I guess that's true, Izuku says with a grin. I'm considering Subsumi myself. She's a Twilight hero, but she also specializes in rescue heroics too, so I could learn a lot from her. She's got an agency at Hasu, so it's not that far from here as well, he adds. I heard from Tokoyami-kun that he plans to take Hawk's internships over, so he'll be heading over to Fukuami, Izuku adds. Jeez, that's far, Hitoshi murmurs. Yeah, though apparently Ida-kun is going to Manual in Hasu as well, so we maybe see each other around, Izuku says with a frown. Did you hear about his brother? He asks softly. Yeah, Hitoshi nods. Dad and Pops are friends with Ingenium, so they went to visit him the other day. I heard them say that he wouldn't walk again. He murmurs softly. I hope Ida-kun is okay. I'll try to keep an eye on him while I'm at Hasu. Maybe I should get his number to text him and we can meet up when we're not doing our internships, Izuku offers. Maybe, but don't be surprised if he declines. I'm sure he's got a lot going on, Hitoshi warns, and Izuku nods in understanding. Oh my god, they held hands. Okay, so literally yesterday's chapter was like gay, and now they're holding hands and encouraging each other, like holding hands, like, are you ready? Like, I smell gay. No, better yet, I know what you are. The closet is glass. Glass. Oh my god. Okay, so as I was talk with them, the whole different types of heroics, the Limelight, Twilight, Rescue, all that, right? The ones that I've heard about were Limelight, Twilight, Underground, and Rescue. I didn't know there was environmental, information gathering, all of those, and I was geeking out because I'm like, oh my god, I got new heroics branches, yay! Like, you know, and I was being all geeky and stuff, and I was being Izuku. I was just like Izuku. I'm Izuku, but older and trans. Point taken is, I was like really happy because I'm like, oh my god, look at that, more heroics. I'm gonna geek out about that later. Also, they were holding hands. I can't let that go. They were holding hands. It's like those memes about like K-dramas where it's like 2 episodes before it's, you know, the finale, and they held hands and everyone's like, oh my god, they're holding hands. That's how I feel like right now. As always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.